Wow, wow, wow. M24. Man, it is good to be here. And let me just say, it is better to be here with my wife, Melissa. So I've got to say this. Yesterday, my wife, Melissa, she got to celebrate 25 years of being married to me. Like, we celebrated our 25th anniversary. That's like a quarter of a century. And so I've not even started talking, and I already need y'all to do me a massive favor because I kind of forgot to get her a card. And so I need to do like this. I need to take a video to wish her a happy anniversary, and I need your help. Like, I need you guys to please do me a favor and be like my hype momentum like choir and help me wish her a happy birthday. And then I'll take the video and I'll send it to her, and I'll never have to wish her a happy anniversary again. So are you guys in? I know you guys are. This is going to be great. So it's going to be really simple. I'm going to say something and y'all going to repeat it, right? So I'm going to say, hey, Melissa, and y'all will say, I love it. This is going so well. And then I'll say, this is Kondo, and you guys will say, it's, no. So not like that. I'll say, hey, Melissa, and then let's just do this. I will say, I love you so much, and you will say, Kondo loves you so much, just like that. And then I'll say happy anniversary, and we'll all say happy anniversary, and it'll be done. I'll be the best husband for the rest of my life. You guys ready? I knew you guys would come through. I knew you would come through. All right, let me turn this thing around. Here we go. Hey, Melissa. I love you. Happy anniversary. Hey. Woo! Man, that was it. That was it. All right, I'm going to stop this. Who's the responsible? Jerica, can you grab this phone? Because it'll start ringing, and then, Willie Robertson will be trying to blow up my phone. I don't need that. Man, it is so good to be back. And it is hilarious to say that because for the majority of you, you're like, back? Who is this dude? We don't know who he is, right? You're talking to each other like, oh, this crazy dad, wannabe boomer with his baggy black cargos, right? But all you need to know is, man, I'm back. It's been a while since I've been here at Momentum, and I could not be more thrilled to be back with all of you. It's been a minute. Things have changed, but the privilege is definitely still the same. And I came back this morning not to talk to all of you, but to remind a couple of you. And I don't know who the couple of you are, but I trust that the Spirit of God knows exactly who it is. But I came back to remind a couple of you that Jesus Christ came back from the dead one time. Like, Jesus was physically, literally, IRL, dead. And then after 3 days, he just woke up. And maybe a couple of you need to be reminded of the fact that Jesus totally broke up with death one time. Like, we are never, ever getting back together. Like, ever. And man, I bring that up to say, if Jesus can break up with death, then you need to know that there is nothing too broken in you that he cannot restore it. If Jesus can come back from the grave, there is nothing and no part of you that is so far gone that he cannot bring you back. And I just needed a couple of you to know that. If Jesus can overcome death, I dare you to tell me the thing in you that could possibly keep him from using you. Jesus came back from the dead, and it makes all the difference in our lives. And I came to remind a couple of you of that because here's the deal. It's the middle of the summer. Y'all have been out of school for a little while, a little less structure, a little less supervision, a little more opportunity. And come on, if we're honest, a number of you over the course of the summer, y'all have done some things. And I'm not talking about things, I'm talking about things. You know the kinds of things that if the pretty and perfect and put together people sitting next to you found out about, they would wonder why on earth you are here in the first place. Some things you swore you would never do or swore that you would never do again, and you did it. Some things, come on, Dan Gregory, some secret things. And because of that, if you are honest, what you believe in the deepest parts of you is, yeah, okay, Jesus can break up with death and Jesus can rise from the grave, but I don't think that he can get past all of this stuff in me. And I came to talk to a couple of those of you. You might not know this, but after Jesus got up from the dead, he didn't go secretly sneak off to heaven. He stuck around for about 40 days, and he went on what I like to call a resurrection tour. And on this resurrection tour, Jesus is showcasing the things that are now possible because he has risen from the dead. And y'all have got to check out one of his resurrection tour stops. This is John chapter 21, starting at verse number 1. Here's what it says. Afterward, Jesus appeared again to his disciples by the Sea of Galilee. It happened this way. Simon Peter, Thomas, also known as Didymus, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, you remember them from Tuesday night, and 2 other disciples, they were together. So here's the scene. 7 of Jesus' 11 disciples are hanging out one time, and the Greek word used here for disciples is the word sellouts. All right, it's not really the word sellouts, but I think it should be. If you ask me, it should be the word traitors. It should be the word like major stands, because these are Jesus' close friends who bailed on him the night he got arrested at the first sign of trouble. These are Jesus' boys who took off in Jesus' darkest hour of need. And they hold up somewhere in a room hiding in fear while Jesus' body literally laid cooling in the grave. Those dudes. Anyway, 7 of those traitor Joes or whoever they were are hanging out on a beach a few days after Jesus rose from the dead. Verse number 3, here's what it says. I'm going out to fish, Simon Peter told them. And the other dudes said, we're in. We'll go with you. So they went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. To which I say, good. Matter of fact, God should strike them with some chafing that makes them walk funny as well. Because I'm sorry, but in my saltiness, they bailed on Jesus. And in the middle of this, it can be a little bit too easy in the middle of my saltiness to miss how sad this scene actually is. They fished all night and they caught nothing. Oh, I remember a few years ago, I went fishing for the very first time. A friend of mine had been trying to get me to go fishing for so many years, and I just ran out of excuses and ways to say no to him. So on this particular morning, I met him, and we went fishing like 5:30 in the morning. Who does that to a friend? We're not friends anymore. Don't worry about it. But A couple of reasons I didn't want to fish was because fishing just seemed A, way too easy, and B, just seemed really like mean. Because who can't catch a fish? You sit in a boat and you pretend to be a nice person and you throw these little like free food situations for the fish to see, and they come up like, oh my goodness, nice human beings, look at them feeding us. And just as they're about to get the meal, you grab that thing, kill it, sushi, right? Like in my mind, anybody can do that, right? Anyway, after the guy convinced me, we went fishing, because again, that's what real friends do. And I need to tell you that after 4 hours of fishing on that particular night, night, morning, 5:30, same difference to me. We didn't catch anything, but I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, like, I think it was like the day right after Thanksgiving, and all the fish had eaten a lot, and they weren't hungry. I mean, because that's the only explanation for why we didn't catch any fish. So to me, my man feeling was hurt, and I'm like, no, we've got to do this again, bro. Let's run this back. We've got to get this right. And so we went fishing a second time, and we spent hours out there. And you need to know that on this second fishing excursion, all right, how it ended is none of your business. What I'm trying to say is, I feel their pain. And I was fishing for the first time in my life. These dudes grew up on the water. They were professional fishermen by trade. They spent all night fishing and they caught absolutely nothing. That would have hurt. That would have been a little bit on the embarrassing side. And you'd be tempted to think that's why I consider this a sad scene in the Bible. But it's actually not. Their fishing fail is not what makes this a sad scene. What makes this a sad scene was the fact that they were fishing at all. What makes this an even more sad scene was Peter saying, I'm going fishing, and taking these dudes with him. Because man, rewind 3 years. And Fireball talked about this the other night, because it was a night just like this one, when Peter and his fellow fishermen buddies, they went out for a fishing excursion, and they spent all night. Clearly, it was the day after Thanksgiving, because they caught nothing on that night 3 years before this. And as they're licking their wounds and learning to live with disappointment on the beach the next morning, Jesus shows up. And Jesus casually suggests to them, hey boys, I know you fished all night, but hey, do me a favor and try again. I can imagine Peter and his boys rolling their eyes, telling Jesus, like, stay in your lane, bro. Like, you're fine at teaching, but we're the experts at fishing. If we can't catch fish, there are no fish to be caught. But because you said so, we will try it anyway. We could spend 1,000 hours just talking about that phrase. And so they do what Jesus says, and they go fishing for a second time, and man, they catch so much fish that their boat starts to sink. Before they have time to count how many fish they caught or to cash it in, Jesus says to them, like, nice catch. Now here's the deal. You all are cordially invited to give it all up and follow after me. This is Luke chapter 5, verse 10. Here's what it says. Then Jesus said to Simon, that's Peter, don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people. So they pulled their boats up on shore. They left everything and followed him. This is crazy. On the most lucrative and profitable day of their fishing careers, Peter heard Jesus calling, telling him, you are done with fishing fish into boats. You are now being called to fish people into the kingdom of heaven. Woo! Peter heard the calling and he was all in. He gave up everything that mattered most to him. He gave up everything he was most competent in. He gave up everything that defined him as a man in that culture because he was Peter, the fisherman. He gave it all up and he ran after Jesus in that moment. Oh, but it gets better. Later on, Jesus would actually tell Peter, you're not just going to fish for people. I am going to make you the leader of a global movement that pulls people out of the waters of death and onto the shores of life. You are going to lead a worldwide revolution. Peter hears the words of Jesus and he is completely in. And then you get to John chapter 21 verse 3. And I don't know what your Bible says, but my Bible says Peter is fishing fish. And it's not just that Peter is back to fishing fish. Peter is now leading a mini movement, but this mini movement is a mini movement of fish fishers. How sad is this scene at the beginning of John chapter 21? And I can't help but wonder, like, Peter, what happened to you, bro? I thought you went all in on the calling of Jesus to be a revolutionary for the sake of the gospel in the world around you, and you gave up fishing. Why are you back here? What happened to you? I mean, I can't say for certain, but I have a strong suspicion, and I think Josiah would agree with me. Some of you may know this, but Peter, he had a terrible, horrible, very bad, no good Good Friday. Jesus tried to tell Peter the night that he was arrested. He tried to tell Peter, hey, listen, I am going to die. And Peter just flexed, not on my watch. You're going to die. Excuse me, Jesus, I'm going to let you finish in a minute. Just interrupts Jesus and says, there is no way this is going to happen. I will be your blind side. I will protect you, ride or die. Matter of fact, they can kill me, but no one is going to touch you. And Jesus tries to tell Peter, Peter, listen to me. Forget dying for me. You are going to deny even knowing me 3 times in the next few hours. Peter is hurt. How can you say that? Jesus, I would never. I love you. I could never do that. I would never, ever do something like that. Then Jesus is arrested, and a few moments later, check this out. Luke chapter 22, verse 56 says this, a servant girl saw him, Peter. He was sitting by a fireplace, a servant girl. She looked closely at him and she said, yeah, this man was with Jesus. But he, Peter, denied it. Woman, it's like, I'm just a girl, right? I don't know him, he said. And a little later, someone else saw him and said, you also are one of them. Man, I am not. Strike 2. Verse 59. About an hour later, another asserted, certainly this fellow was with him. Look at him, for he is a Galilean. And Peter replied, man, I don't know what you're talking about. And just as he was speaking, the rooster crowed. The Lord Jesus turned and looked straight at Peter. Then Peter remembered the word the Lord had spoken to him. Before the rooster crows today, you would disown me 3 times. And he fell apart. He was broken to pieces. Verse 62 says, he went outside and he wept bitterly. And after Peter was done crying, he went back to fishing. Because Peter just knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, Jesus is done with me. Jesus is done with. I was his friend, and I swore to have his back. And the moment trouble emerged, I denied even knowing him. Jesus is done with me. There was a calling on my life to lead a revolution, to change the world, and I messed that whole thing up so terribly. Jesus is done with me. There is no question in my mind that my calling is canceled and Jesus is done. I have no choice but to go back to what I knew and what I was good at. I'm going back to fishing. Woo. Now I'm talking to a couple of you, not all of you, but a couple of you who can relate to Peter. Because you came to Momentum, but you just know Jesus is done with you. I mean, let's be honest. You said it. You said, even if everybody else at school does this, I would never. You did it. Ooh, you did it. You were never going to be one of those kids who tried that particular thing. There is no way you tried it. Matter of fact, you are still trying it today. I came to talk to you, not to everybody. You promised her you would never do it again. You did it. You swore on your future spouse that you would protect that, and you did not. Woo! You raised your hands last year at Momentum, and the moment you got back to school and somebody brought up Jesus, you went mysteriously silent, embarrassed. Matter of fact, everybody at school knows you're a Swiftie, but they have no clue you're a Christie or whatever. Just saying. I'm talking to you. You would never put that substance in your body, and the reality is you can't stop doing it. Right now, and you just know Jesus is done with you. And matter of fact, if the people around you knew all that you've done, they might be done with you too. I came to talk to you. You had so much potential. Remember when your leaders used to tell you, we believe you are going to change the world. We see the hand of God on your life. And you have skipped youth group for so many months now, and you say that it's because you've become so busy with your sport, but the reality is you know what you've done, and you believe Jesus has canceled you, so you can't even go back. You're going back fishing. Remember when you used to talk to everybody about Jesus all the time? Remember last year when you stood up in this room and you said, I believe Jesus is calling me to full-time vocational ministry. I'm all in, Jesus. I'm leaving it all behind. Woo! And then that's end of summer party happened. What happened to you, bro? I'm talking to you. It was Tuesday night. You stood up in this room less than 48 hours ago talking about I am all in with Jesus. And then wasn't it just yesterday that snap came through? And I'm not talking about ceiling or floor snap. I'm talking about snap, snap. Oh, snap is right. And you're like, oh boy. Jesus has to be done with me. So you're going back fishing to what's familiar. I've messed up so badly. Jesus is so done with me. Matter of fact, it just makes sense for me to just stay here and keep messing up because I can't fix this. And so what's the point? I might as well just continue in what I'm doing right now. I came to talk to a couple of you who can relate to Peter just a little bit. And you might find the next part of the story super interesting. So while Peter and his boys are, they're in the Jesus is done with me boat, right? This is what happens. Verse 4, early in the morning, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not realize that it was Jesus. Ooh, the Bible's the best. This is so good. Oh, this is so good. Jesus comes and he stands on the shore. Woo! I love that, y'all, because there are a couple of you who need to know. If you believe Jesus is done with you, because I don't know if anyone else is going to tell you this. Because you may be feeling like I've done too much, I'm too broken, I'm too messed up, and Jesus is done with me. And I don't know if anyone else is going to tell you this, because you may be thinking like there is no way he can continue to use me. And again, I don't know if anyone else is going to tell you this, but who cares what you think? I'm sorry, I'm never getting invited back. Who cares what you think? Because Jesus is coming after you anyway. I'm sorry. Nothing against your feelings and what you believe. He's coming anyway. Woo! And I don't know if you knew, but the location services on your heart are always toggled on. He knows exactly where to find you, no matter what boat of brokenness you happen to be hanging out in. And I'm telling you, if today is the day Jesus is standing on your shore, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you think the gospel was Jesus sitting around waiting for you to feel better about yourself and then make the first move. No, bro. Jesus didn't break out of the grave so he could sit around and hope you feel better and you figure it out and you fix yourself and you make a move. He broke out of the grave to go on a massive resurrection tour, and he's coming for you. I'm sorry. It is what it is. He's standing on the shore. Woo, now I wish I knew which camera to look at, because there is somebody who's at home and they're like, I feel so messed up and so broken. I'm skipping momentum this year. I'm just going to watch from home. That's hilarious. He is standing on the shore of your living room. Sorry to break it to you, but his calling might be coming from inside the house. Now I'm talking to the parents at home who are like, no, I'm just watching this stream for my teenagers. What Jesus might do in their lives. I'm just watching to make sure that they don't hurt anyone when they come into this big mosh pit thing that happens at the front. And I love it. Jesus is like, yeah, I'm standing on your shore too, mama. Tell the person next to you, you're so busted. Tell the person next to you, come on. Come on. Tell the other person on the other side of you, like, he found you anyway. Tell him. You're so busted. Yeah, he found you anyway. Warsaw Lady Tigers, he found you. All right, stop it. I'm running out of time. And then, believe it or not, the story gets so good. It gets so good. Look at this, verse number 5. Jesus on the shore called out to them, keep it together, Kondo. He said, friends, haven't you any fish? All right, everybody say, huh? No, with a little more attitude, like, huh? No. Matter of fact, say, huh? Question mark. Huh? Question mark. Yeah. You may want to write huh? Question mark down somewhere, and when you're of tattooing age, maybe you consider tattooing huh? Question mark, so people can ask you about it. Because I don't know what your Bible says. My Bible says, friends. I'm like, huh? Question mark? Jesus, these dudes betrayed you. And Jesus is like, I know, friends. Huh? They bailed out on you, Jesus. They denied knowing you. Like, friends. Friends. But you don't even understand, like he binged on porn last night. Friends. No, but if she rolled up her sleeves though, yeah, friend. Huh? Question mark. It is the bewildering question of grace. I'm sorry, what did you call me, Jesus? He said friends. But if you knew the codes to my phone, Jesus, friend. But if you knew what I was putting in my body, hey, friends. How can you call me friends? Ooh, grace upon grace upon grace. Friend, not based on your perfection, but based on mine. Grace. Hey, friend, not based on your put together performance, but based on mine. Grace. Friend, not based on the fact that you've said it is fixed, but based on the fact that on the cross I said what? It is finished. Grace, not because you have punished yourself enough for your mess up, but because God has punished me sufficiently on your behalf. And now I get to stand on the shore and call messed up, broken, jacked up people. Tell the person next to you, hey friend. They may be one of the two. I don't know who I came to talk to. Now tell the other person, Jesus still calls you friend. You don't know what they might be believing about themselves. And now I need at least one leader to say amen. All right, now we can move on. Oh, by the way, don't tell me Jesus isn't funny. Thank you, because this is hilarious. He says, friends, and he says, have you not caught any fish? Question mark, that's hilarious. Jesus is funny. I don't care. That is a great question, and it's a question he might be asking some of you. I'm sorry. it going out there, guys? How's it going? Hey, friends, how's it working out doing things your way? Hey, friend, how's it going trying to clean yourself up, trying to fix yourself up for me? How's that going? Hey, how's it going trying to figure things out in your own power? Hey, how's that going? Hey, friend, how's it going? How much joy are you experiencing doing things your own way? Is it working out? Did you catch anything? You haven't found the joy you're looking for? Verse number 5. He called out to them, friends, haven't you caught any fish? No! They answered. That is just a great answer. I love that. It's not going great. There's no joy here. And for some of you, that is all Jesus wants from you. How's it working out? It's not going great. I'm done trying to fix and prove and fight in my own strength. I'm ready to do things your way. Verse number 6. He said, throw your net on the right side of the boat, because you know the problem was which side of the boat your net was on. This is funny too. And you will find some fish. And when they did, they were unable to haul the net in because of the large number of fish. His grace is bewildering. I can't help but believe this is Jesus telling Peter, I'm always willing to give you a fresh start. Because who else remembers 3 years before this, the first time Jesus called Peter, it was a night just like this, in a scene just like this, where he had caught no fish just like this, where Jesus said, here's how you can catch fish just like this, almost like Jesus is saying, let's start over, buddy, let's run it back. Grace. I am always willing. Let's start again. I'm sorry, Jesus, but how many times will we run it back? Well, as long as you're in this body, you are going to mess up, and you will need me to come chasing you with grace to tell you, let's run it back. There are more second chances in Jesus than there are slip-ups in you. I love it. Because here's the thing. If you grow up in the church, like, yeah, but on Tuesday, I said I'm all in. On Wednesday, I blew it. I'm done. Jesus is like lightweight. Come back here. There is more grace greater than your sin. But no, aren't I supposed to get to the place where I no longer need grace? He's like, I want to preach grace to my friends, but I don't want to have to need it. I want to get to the place where I don't have to use any of your grace. Jesus says, you will always need my grace. What happens in the church is you start believing the lies and the shame, and you start hiding from grace. And Jesus is saying, I will never tire of giving you second chances. Well, then that's just going to make me want to mess up more. I promise you it won't. It's His grace that teaches us to say no to ungodliness, as I realize what it cost Him and that He keeps coming back for me. It will floor me. Jesus, you're going to keep coming back for me and meet me here. And you're going to keep meeting me here. I want to start meeting you in different places. Jesus offers endless, fresh starts, do-overs to anyone who needs one. And I came to talk to a couple of you who might. All right, I'm wrapping. I'm going to wrap up. Verse 7. Then the disciple whom Jesus loved, that is John talking about himself in third person. I loved how Fireball humanized these disciples. And John usually did that when he wanted to brag about something. It's so funny. He said, anyway, that guy said to Peter, it is the Lord, because Peter would never have figured it out if that guy didn't tell him, whoever that guy is. As soon as Simon Peter heard John say, it is the Lord, he wrapped his outer garment around him, for he had taken it off. I don't know what kind of fishing these guys were doing. And he jumped into the water. Verse 8, the other disciples followed him in the boat, towing the net full of fish, because we all need a Jessica Bricker in our lives. Peter's like, hey, Jesus. The other dudes are, yeah, but the fish, we got to still count the money, though. That's awesome. I love it. Momentum Marketplace. We need everybody. Anywho, so Peter jumps. The other disciples followed Jesus. They followed Peter in the boat, towing the net full of fish, for they were not far from the shore, about 100 yards. Anyway, all that to say, I dare you to jump towards grace. Verse 9, when they had landed, they saw a fire of burning coals there with fish on it and some bread. Stop it. I said stop it. Grace. I love this so much. Because, man, you can strive all your life and you can try and clean yourself up and make yourself worthy of his calling. And Jesus is like, I came for you. I just want you to come over here to me. And when you do, you find I actually had all the fish you needed. I love this. Like, they're fishing and trying to catch fish. And when they get to the shore, Jesus is like, anyway, so I've been cooking fish here. Because I already had what you're striving to find. I already had what it is that you believe you will get if you run and if you do things your own way. Jesus is like, I had it. I had that the whole time. I was trying to earn God's favor with my perfect behavior. And Jesus is like, I had that taken care of the whole time. I've got grace cooking right here, right now. Come eat. I've been beating myself up, trying to make up for my mistakes. Jesus is like, I got beat up on your behalf. I took care of that. I had that the whole time. I've taken care of everything. Just come to me. Let me cover you with my grace. And then send you out with a story. That is not the church full of pretty and perfect people who don't do bad things, but a bunch of broken people who have found the source of grace. Huh? Question mark. That's why I'm thinking about that tattoo. So people can ask me, what does that mean? It means, and then he forgave me, and I was like, huh? Question mark. And he'll do the same for you. All right, I'm done. Here. Verse 15. When they had finished eating, I should bring Josiah out to just preach this part. Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, he said. You know that I love you. Jesus said, then feed my lambs. Woo. Again, Jesus said, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He answered, yes, Lord. You know that I love you. Jesus said, take care of my sheep. Go tell people about me. The third time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter, he was hurt because Jesus asked him the third time, do you love me? And he said, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. Jesus said to him, feed my sheep. I'm like, but why 3 times though? And I think Jesus asks Peter 3 times so that when the devil reminds him of the 3 times he denied Jesus, he can tell him to shut up and remind him of the 3 times Jesus assured him, I'm not done with you yet. That's grace. Peter, your calling is still intact. The thing I said to you 3 years ago, it still counts today. The thing you committed to a year ago, even though you messed up, it still counts today. I'm not done with you yet. In other words, Peter, stop your whining, eat some grace, and get back to work. And that's what I came to tell a couple of you. Stop your whining, eat some grace, and go tell the people in your world about Jesus. Lord, I do pray that I get invited back, even though I went over time. But more than that, Father, I do pray for those in this room who may be believing the lies that you are possibly done with them because of something they did. Remind them of what Jesus has done, and Jesus has the final word. I pray that even after this week, you would unleash a movement of grace-filled teens who know it's not because they've got it all together, but because they continue to sit and eat with the one who does. So Lord, I pray you would break chains and still all of the lies and fill with your grace, even now. In Jesus' name, amen.